then combined wins of all opponents, so the strength of schedule tiebreaker that you might be familiar with the NFL, and then they do strength of victory. And that's really the system, and they go through, and some teams get in and other teams do not.
Strength of victory, I think, is that kind of main thing of note too, when you really consider it, actually, just because that's how you know you're really getting into the weeds, especially with the 5 and 4 teams that, you know, everybody's kind of battling for some of those last playoff spots. I know the IHSA is talking about expanding the playoff picture if at all possible, but it's that strength of victory mark that if you're there, you know, the season kind of went away, that maybe you really needed that extra win. Maybe you needed that better opponent to get a victory over. So kind of interested to see how that shapes up tonight.
Yeah, we will see how that comes out. So, you know, with a lot of teams, a lot of 5 and 4 teams, that strength of victory could really matter. So you look at all the teams that you beat earlier in the season, and aside from them maybe performing better than you and in terms of their total, then you kind of root for them to expand that result with strength of victory.
Well, it seemed that there were quite a few teams that were relying on that last week to try to get in. I know, Grayson, you cover Central A&M. They had a rough season this year, but Taylorville Tornado football, it came down to their last game. And Reed, did you finally catch your breath last night, or was it still pumping pretty good this morning?
It was still pumping pretty good this morning. I think maybe not getting a lot of sleep was part of it, but man, what a game that was. Taylorville really made themselves have to chase it in the second half. Penalties were a big issue. We knew coming in that had been a big issue, that it could really cause a lot of problems for them if they did not sort that out. They didn't, and they were really lucky to come away with the win.
Yeah, Taylorville trailed by 10 at halftime. They were losing 17-7, and it almost was 24-7. The Civic Memorial had a touchdown that was called back due to a holding penalty that would have made the score 24-7. Taylorville ended up coming back with some good play, kind of abandoning the passing game because it really wasn't working for Cameron Smith yesterday, and relying heavily on Owen Mateer and Brown.
Spencer
Brown. Thank you. My goodness. And they were able to really pour on the rushing yards, and Taylorville tied up the game at 17 and then pulled away to make it 24-17. Right. Civic Memorial came down in the last drive and nearly had a game-tying reception in the end zone, but the pass fell incomplete, and Taylorville escaped with a victory. And about as close as the Northwestern Nebraska game was today, which I'm still a little bitter about, but that's a whole nother subject.
Well, for me, I think, you know, Taylorville, kind of in our area, one of the only teams that really had that game that was kind of on the fence. I know obviously conference foes within the Apollo or the heart of the Illinois small conference. But when you think about Taylorville 4-4, Shelbyville week 8 going into week 9 was 5-3. So they already knew, but they took on El Paso Gridley. That was a really tough team for Shelbyville to go against. 8-0, and then finish the season 9-0 for El Paso Gridley. So that was a game of note, kind of a gut check type of game.
What was the score in that one? Do you know?
Let's see here. I can get you that on the fly here. That score was 37-6 in favor of El Paso Gridley. And again, Shelbyville was at El Paso Gridley, which obviously makes that a tougher task, but that was a quality team, I believe, again, with a 9-0 record on the season. They were 6-0, obviously, within conference. In Illinois, they are ranked 104. So that was a tough game to have as you're 5-3. You know, then you fall in week 9, go to 5-4. Obviously, seeding-wise, you might not get exactly where you want to be. South Fork, though, 9-0. Ponies had an excellent season behind George Bailey and crew. That in 8-man football. And then for Pana, they finished the season last night 8-1. Can't wait to talk to Coach Ramsey for just a moment and just kind of find out what he's been able to do in this very first year under that Pana program. So 8-1 for Pana to round out the year, 9-0 for South Fork in 8-man football. Shelbyville finished with a 5-4 record. Taylorville doing the same. And by the sounds of it, fellas, just squeaking out of there with a 5-4 record on this 2025 season.
We'll take it, but it was quite the crazy game as far as just. I wouldn't have wanted to be in that locker room at halftime. And Coach Sheb Odom said after the game, he goes, look, I didn't really say too much at halftime. The seniors kind of gathered the younger kids and was like, hey, we don't want this to be our last game. Let's go out there and play. and they really came together and were able to put together some success. They had a fantastic third and fourth quarter, much better than the first half showed. They did not look good in that first half at all. But to go from playing well against a really tough Mount Zion team to kind of just thinking, I think they went to that Civic Memorial game thinking it was going to be really easy, and Civic was like, no, you're not. So,
well, tell me if you guys would just a little bit about that Mount Zion Taylorville matchup, because I have quite a bit of notes actually here on Mount Zion. I'm interested to share maybe a few of them. How'd that game go though in terms of Taylorville Mount Zion?
It was really so. Taylorville did the same thing with Mount Zion that they did against Muhammad. They played them really tough for the first half. The third quarter, Cameron Smith threw an interception, and that led to the touchdown, which was really that was the difference maker. Both sides played really close. J.C. Anderson, who's committed to Ole Miss, played exceptionally well. He was a big guy, and Taylorville looked like they were getting ragdolled out there. I mean, just thrown around. J.C. Anderson's the real deal, and that comes from me. But Reed, what were your thoughts on that Mount Zion Taylorville game?
Yeah, I agree with all of that. It's so much credit to Taylorville for holding on. I mean, it wasn't a 2-score game until the touchdown after the interception that you mentioned. You know, that was a team that played with a lot of heart. That team, despite losing, played so much better than the team last night.
Well, in terms of Mount Zion, though, so that was a good game through and through. Really, I think, was it 25-12 the final score? Was that how that one looked for Taylorville Mount Zion?
But it was closer than the score.
17-12, I believe, at half. So whatever that final score was, if one of you wants to pull that up and find that on the fly here, Mount Zion, good squad, right? Year in and year out. To find out again that J.C. Anderson, as you mentioned, that Ole Miss commit, 10 passing touchdowns or receiving touchdowns this year on the year for that guy. If you're going to Ole Miss, number 8 ranked team in the country, just got a win here today over Oklahoma, I believe it was.
Yeah, you're doing something right.
You're doing something right. So that is a quality, obviously, player to have. Jacob Harvey was also a standout for them. If you guys remember that name, a deep ball threat. He caught 9 of the 21 passing touchdowns that were thrown by Keller Stocks. And to go with that, Keller Stocks apparently had a 63% passing completion in Rochester, that game in week 2. That was a big-time game, right, for Rochester and Mount Zion to come away with a win in that regard, 8-1. Or excuse me, that was their only loss coming against 8-1 Rochester. You've had yourself a really good year. So I think Mount Zion is kind of interesting, hasn't missed the playoffs since 2013. And you just think about, man, seeing an Ole Miss commit out there. It's not something you get to see every day here in Central Illinois, somebody of that quality, of that skill set. I just was wondering maybe how you boys felt about him, maybe hauling in a few touchdowns or what he did against Taylorville.
I was really excited to see him, and he was everything. He was everything as advertised. Really good guy. And Grayson, you and I have had conversations before during sporting events of just the guys that are good separate themselves from the guys that aren't. You can tell within the first 5 minutes whether somebody's going to play at that next level or not. And he absolutely showed his prowess out there and why there are big top teams looking at him.
And you guys will get a taste of that actually in the basketball season here too. Sorry, Reed.
No, I was going to say he showed that for sure from the first few plays. Really, I think maybe the first 3 plays he had at least one good play there. So really exciting stuff to watch. And as you mentioned, you know, with obviously a lot of high schools around and not quite as much, at least at the college level, the really high up level. It is a treat to watch these players perform. So I can't wait to see what he does in the playoffs and certainly at Ole Miss.
Sure. Well, and I know we've got to take ourselves a break here in just a moment before we talk to Coach Duckett here. But before we talk to Coach Ramsey, I'd love to share some stuff that I have on Pana and graciously given to us by Ty Dooley. So let's thank that guy as well. But just thought about it, though. A two-headed monster, though. You think 19 of the 21 passing touchdowns are thrown between Jacob Harvey and J.C. Anderson. That is a dangerous unit. It sounds like you have kind of that guy over the middle, kind of sits in the soft spots, and J.C. Anderson.
He can block too. So and that's at high school level, like maybe not as much as the college and especially not at the NFL level, but at the high school level, when you can block for your quarterback and give him all day to throw.
I mean, you see George Kittle, though. You know, George Kittle gets paid for his blocking. Obviously, a good receiving tight end too, but it just depends on the system, you know, like Kyle Shanahan for the 49ers. Man, he loves a 2 tight end look. So it's just interesting. But you are correct. For a lot of the NFL, obviously, has moved to those inseam and blah, blah. They like their Colston Lovelands these days a little bit more. Although he's not a bad blocker either. But we're not talking Bears. We're talking high school football. So
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll talk to Coach Duckett, get a little bit of information on Shelbyville football, and much, much more coming your way right here on the WTIM and Taylorville Daily News Prairie Farms Playoff Pigskin Preview Show, brought to you by Prairie Farms.
Encouraging independence, enriching lives.
The Taylorville Tornadoes are on WTIM. Listen on air or online for all football, boys basketball, and playoff games of both teams on AM, FM, and streamed on the WTIM mobile app. Sponsored by McClure Halberg Insurance, Prairie Farms Dairy, the senior citizens of Christian County, and Taylorville Community Eye Care.
Purple and gold are coming your way. The Taylorville Tornadoes are going to do it today.
At People's Bank and Trust, they help their consumer and business customers spend their time living their life, not explaining it. At People's Bank and Trust, they put people first. Find out how they can help you by clicking their banner ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Hi, this is Jeff Robinson from Advanced Title. Whether selling your home on your own or through your local realtor, please give us a call at 824-8007 for all your title work needs.
This is Staff Meteorologist Paul Trombley with your regional radio forecast. Cloudy skies tonight with a slight chance for showers. Lows dip down to about 48. Winds out of the east, 8 to 15 miles per hour. 64 tomorrow, overcast skies. Slight chance of rain showers tomorrow night. Lows around 45, overcast skies. Get weather anytime by calling 824-6101 or online at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Right now, 55.
The audio is really quiet. The audio was supposed to be loud. I had this whole rock intro planned. It was supposed to be great. It wasn't great at all. You can barely hear it. Come on, guys. Let's go. But you are listening to the WTIM Taylorville Daily News Prairie Farms Playoff Pigskin Preview Show, brought to you by Prairie Farms. Leroy Clamola, alongside Grayson Bauman and Reed Camai, as we are going to talk a little bit about Shelbyville football and Tuscola. Central A&M, Dwight Warrensburg Latham got their season started against Shelbyville. And Shelbyville, Grayson, you do a lot with baseball and softball, but their football team has been nothing to sneeze at over the last few years.
Well, their football team, honestly, and I got to take these off. That's a little too strange sounding there. But in terms of football, when they came to Central A&M, it was a good game from Central A&M, but Shelbyville actually has a decent push on that offensive line, I thought, from that game. Had a pretty good pass attack to go along with some decent run. And they did surprise me a little bit. I know Coach Duckett has been kind of a staple for Shelbyville as far as I know. But yeah, that's one of those teams where you'd love to have Dave DeVore, who was in the booth. You know, I could talk Central A&M at nauseum, but yeah, when it comes to Shelbyville, it's one of those where it's like, man, you get those eyes in the sky and really get to see it. But that's why we're talking to Coach Duckett, and his 5-4 Rams. So
Shelbyville finished 5-4, 3-2 in conference. They suffered a tough opening loss to Tuscola, rattled off 2 wins against Central A&M and Dwight, had a loss to Warrensburg Latham 28-8, then picked up three wins in a row against Tremont, Eureka, and Clinton before suffering 2 tough losses against 2 really good programs with Tri-Valley and El Paso Gridley. So we're going to try to get a hold of Coach Duckett right now, see if we can't talk to him a little bit about this season and what he is expecting for his playoff run.
Sure. Well, and you consider those last 2 weeks, right? Like at Tri-Valley, a 50-6 ball game. That's a tough place to go to right now. And then you take on 8-0 El Paso Gridley headed into week 9. And El Paso Gridley is a quality team, sits at 9-0. They're going to have a fantastic spot within the playoffs. So that kind of lets you know you got a good chunk of playoff opponents then all of a sudden coming into said playoffs. I honestly feel like that's in Shelbyville's favor. It might not feel that way in terms of the record and their final look at the season, at least the regular season. But I think to play 2 quality opponents after playing kind of I hate to say it, but a relatively easy stretch in terms of opponents when it comes to Eureka and Clinton and folks like that. So Eureka, although had a halfway decent year, I believe, maybe. But again, go against Tri-Valley on the road at El Paso Gridley for your last 2 weeks of the season. Tough deal.
All right, let's try to get a hold of Coach Duckett here, see if we can't talk to him a little bit about some of the great stuff that he's got going on.
Well, that's what I was waiting for. That's all I saw.
I want the ringtone over what you were talking about.
I see. I do appreciate it, though.
Hey, Coach Duckett, it's Leroy Clamola and the guys over here at WTIM Radio. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. We're excited. It's the big night. Are you all pumped and ready?
Oh yeah, it's always an exciting evening.
All right, so we're going to turn it over to Grayson Bauman, who's going to, or Reed Kamai is going to ask you a couple of questions here about Shelbyville football, and go ahead, Reed.
Well, thanks again, Coach, for joining us. This is Reed Kamai. You, of course, went 5-4 this year. I know you had the 2 tough defeats at the end. Talk about some of the things that really stood out for you folks in terms of your performance and what opponents might be able to expect from you.
Yeah, we've had a really gritty group this year. We've got some young guys that have jumped into some spots, out of position maybe from what they've been in the past. Some guys that moved from, maybe running backs or receivers to the line, and especially young guys that are freshmen and sophomores that have really had to develop as the years went along. And they've done a fantastic job of kind of coming into those roles and growing in those roles. And, that's an important thing, especially with small school football, to have guys that are not only willing to jump into something that they're maybe not familiar with, but grow in that and continue excelling. And so that's helped us through the year, and they've fought hard each and every game and kind of had to gut some games out and be pretty gritty overall.
In terms of some of those players adjusting into other positions, that would I would imagine take some time. At what point in the season, or maybe during the off season, did it really seem like a lot of those players were comfortable in the positions they were sort of moved to?
Yeah, well, we had 2 guys that moved from running back to our guards early in the year, and so they kind of got the reps through the summertime of kind of getting used to it. And then due to a couple injuries early on, we had to have 2 guys that were freshmen for us. That one was a guard at the freshman level, another was a wide receiver at the freshman level. That just by position, by ability, and things, they jumped into those roles and have been kind of on and off playing for us. One of those guys, the one that's the guard, he's kind of been in there most games, at least 50%, if not the whole game throughout the year. So they're just getting reps and learning as they go. But sometimes it takes a little while to develop, but and adjust to that. But they're doing a fantastic job with it.
You mentioned freshmen, a couple other younger players in there as well. That must really excite you as a coach, going into future seasons, being able to develop them even further.
Oh yeah. It's definitely a good thing when you can get reps. I was glad that we were able to still keep a freshman schedule with some of the numbers we had down low. I hate losing that when you have to pull guys up, but we were still able to get experience with some of those other guys. But for the ones that did dress at the varsity level, that's invaluable. When you're able to get the experience now and, you're still playing 3 years from now and being able to grow with that, the game's got to slow down a bit for them and gets a little bit easier. And so we're excited for the future with those guys, but they're still playing right now, and we're hoping for these guys to continue gutting it out through the year.
I want to ask about the last 2 games. Obviously, some losses against some pretty top level teams that have had some good seasons. How have those experiences prepared you going into the playoffs this time?
Yeah, I mean, Tri-Valley and El Paso, both of them are top-tier programs and really good teams right now this year. And so, you like to think that playing 2 teams like that will get you prepared even more going into the playoffs. We're going to be a lower seed. We know that. We're going to be playing a 2-3 seed somewhere in there. And so, we'd like to think that those 2 teams are at that level or even maybe a step above in some cases. Tri-Valley is a phenomenal team. They always have been. And, they put it to us there 2 weeks ago. We played really tough last night against El Paso. We were proud of the effort. 17-0 happened. We had some opportunities in the second half to get some scores. Just didn't go our way, but the guys gritted it out. And, we had some injuries that we had to deal with people going into some different positions, but we're excited at how hard they worked and with this overall group in general.
Coach Duckett, when you looked at your goals at the beginning of the season, and you look at your team now, did you meet those goals? What were some? How are you feeling going into the playoffs for this team?
Well, you always want to have a goal of being able to get to that second season and make the playoffs, and so we were able to do that a few weeks ago, and that's step one. Doing that, you want to win conference, and realistically, last night, if we would have won, we were in a 3-way tie for the conference championship. So to be able to get to the end of the season and still have that opportunity to be playing for something like a conference championship is always important. And we were right there. And, now we're getting into the playoffs and anything can happen. We were a 2-3 seed 3 years ago and Drew Belleville Altoff, and they ended up beating us. And, so I've seen these things firsthand happen both ways. We played Pana, who was a 3 seed last year, and it came down to the last minute of the game. So anything can happen, and we're just excited to be able to have the opportunity to be able to move forward.
All right. Well, Coach Duckett, thank you so much for spending a couple minutes of talking to us. We wish you luck in the postseason, and thanks again.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach. Have a good night. All right. Coach Duckett talking to us a little bit here this evening about some of the great stuff that they have going on over in Shelbyville. And guys, what a fantastic program he's got over there. Multiple years in a row of making the playoffs, multiple years in a row of just finding that little bit of extra. And when it comes to those small schools, that's not the easiest thing to do of trying to find that talent and trying to be able to have it, because some of the small schools just don't have it. Shelbyville is able to pull that talent almost every year and be able to have a playoff team quite often, quite more than not, they're able to have a playoff team.
Well, I think it speaks to culture. I think that's kind of the main thing, right? Obviously you're only going to get a hold of these guys for at least 4 years, maybe even, before another school maybe even is trying to pull at them to bring them over there. So obviously you're building winning ways, and you're doing so young, as you were talking to him about. Hey, that's good. That's valuable experience, right? To have as a freshman, then bring to your sophomore, your junior, your senior seasons. So you get that kind of sprinkled in with some freshmen, but also I think it's just what Coach Duckett and what other coaches around the areas have established as a program, as a culture, and then people want to play for that team. So I think Coach Duckett probably is just kind of one of those guys, a master motivator almost, in terms of just keeping the squad consistent. So very cool to talk to him, I thought, and some great questions over the way of Recamo, I thought, as well.
Well, thank you. And, credit to everyone involved in terms of the way some of those players had to step into different roles. I mean, you got the coaches having to figure out, what that's going to look like in terms of the investment, the reps, and actually, doing what's needed to get there. And then to the players as well, maybe not their first choice, but they're stepping up and into different roles, and it's helping the team really flourish. So I'm excited to see what they do, not just in the playoffs, but also in the next few years.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about Pana football and what Pana's been through this season. That's a powerhouse, and they've had everything this year, from wins to fires to much, much more. And we'll talk to Coach Ramsey here in just a little bit, and a little bit about what Pana's got going on right after these messages from Prairie Farms. You're listening to the Prairie Farms Playoff Pigskin Preview Show right here on WTIM.
And holiday fun made better with the refreshing glass of Prairie Farms lemonade. Prairie Farms is proud to partner with the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, a national leader in the fight against childhood cancer. Look for the special QR code on your favorite bottle or jug of Prairie Farms lemonade and help us raise a minimum of $100,000 in support of child cancer research. Make a difference for families impacted by childhood cancer by choosing crisp, refreshing Prairie Farms lemonade.
At Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, you get the independent lifestyle you want without the huge price tag. It's half the cost of most independent living options. No stairs, no worries. All duplexes have an attached garage. They're accessible, safe, and private. Say goodbye to maintenance and hello to freedom, because now you can go do whatever you want to do. If you're 55 or better, it's time to simplify your life. Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth. Independent living done right. Find out more by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
The voice of the Eastern Illinois University Panthers, Mike Brad here, inviting all of our fans in Taylorville, Pana, and South Central Illinois to listen for Panther football again this fall on the station bringing you country hits of yesterday and today, Genuine Country 94.3 WMKR. Listen for Big D and Bubba and the Morning Show weekday mornings, the Retro Request Show from 9 till 1 Saturdays, Central A&M High School sports, and of course, Panther football on WMKR.
I'm Police Chief Andrew Pistorius with the Sullivan Police Department, here to talk about a topic no one wants to discuss, depression that many times leads to suicide. When a person is going through such feelings, many times family and friends don't know how to help. But there is help. If you feel depressed or lonely, there are many resources to help you. Call a trusted relative, friend, or minister, or call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline toll-free at 800-273-TALK. That's 800-273-TALK. All of us are here to help.
CNB Bank and Trust has been helping open doors for Central Illinois farmers since 1854. Find out why they're among Illinois' top ag lenders by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Bob Reddings of the Bob Reddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Groovy 97 point. Wow, that was awful. WTIM radio and the Miller and the Prairie Farms playoff Pigskin preview. I'm just gonna stop. All right, joining us on the phone right now is Coach Ramsey. Coach, glad to have you on the show, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Good. Hey, what a fantastic season, Coach. Congratulations on another successful season. You guys are doing good things down in Pana.
Yeah, we came in and took over kind of late January, early February, and started, a weight program and summer activities, a 2-week camp and some 7-on-7s. And the kids have come so far. It's unbelievable. They've really taken to our system and the coaching, and they've been great. They're getting better every week.
Coach, my name is Grayson Bauman, and thank you so much for joining us first and foremost here this evening. My first question for you, though, it is your first year at Pana, but you brought an immense track record with you of winning in successful ways. So my question to you is, Pana obviously has been a staple in the playoffs. And what did you do in terms of evaluating the current culture? What did you do to maybe establish a new culture? How did that look for you coming into an already winning program, but also wanting to assert some of your ways and some of your things that, just come with you as a coach?
Yeah, that's always tough. Trevor Higgins did a nice job down there, did a great job, and had a winning program. And we just came in and, we wanted to preach discipline and fundamentals and trying to not trick anybody, but be better tacklers, better blockers, and with all the fundamentals of the game, from throwing, catching, carrying a ball, blocking, tackling. So, but they've responded well, and everybody's got to be responsible for their job, and that's been where I think we've made some progress.
Okay, well, I can tell you that certainly seems to be the case for you with an 8-1 record. I know that, obviously 8 wins, and I'm going to ask you about the one loss, but can you speak to that loss? Because Vandalia was no slouch team. We're talking about a 9-0 squad with them also being a bump up in bracket. What can you tell me about what that type of game means, and kind of a gut check type of game? What does that kind of mean to you?
Well, I mean, we go into every contest with a planned game plan to try to win, and so that was no different. We had this is no excuse at all, but we had a couple of players not yet being able to participate, and those guys have really come in and stepped in and done a good job. But in that particular game, we just we missed some open field tackles, and I think we turned the ball over, and we gave them a scoring opportunity from our punting game, and so those are areas that you always got to work on, and hope the kids take pride in it, and try to get better every day.
Coach, I think a lot of folks are going to look at how many points Payne has scored rather than what was allowed. And I'd like to ask you, what do guys like Connor Simpson, what do guys like Tyler Wrench and others mean to that Payne defense? What can you tell us about just how good they've been on the defensive side too?
Yeah, I know Tyler was all-conference player last year, and he's really elevated his game even from last year. He's physical, he's athletic, and he enjoys the game, enjoys contact, and he's been a leader out there. And also Connor Simpson, who was a rotating player last year, has really stepped up one of the inside linebacker positions, and taken charge out there. And he's been a big boost to our defense. Made a lot of tackles, and he looks like he's having fun out there.
Well, he must have taken to some of those tackling drills that you brought down to you with Pana here in this first year, moving towards that offensive side of the football. Cash Lynch having himself a really good year. Caden Durbin also having himself a good year, and led by QB Parker Moore with a 70+% passing completion percentage. I mean, that's a lot of weapons at your disposal. How do you get everybody the rock? How do you make sure everybody's fed? And also just what's kind of the game plan when you have so many weapons?
Well, I think, like you said, Parker's got over 1,000 yards passing, but, I would consider us more of a running ball club. And that's really Parker's strength, running the football. Now he has really come around as far as a passer, and we got some nice targets out there to throw to, but Parker, he's got a lot of yards on the ground, and he makes some big first downs when we need them. And of course, Cash, that's probably his number one target. And but we got some other guys too. But Cash is he can go over the top and catch it and take it, or he can catch it underneath and make people miss. He's a super talent, and he's got great hands too, and he's just hard to tackle.
Well, stepping into this, you've got a senior quarterback at the helm, or at least in Parker Moore. So what can you tell me about coming into a program and also having somebody that you can mold a little bit? Obviously, you've got one more year to be able to do so, but talk to me a little bit about having a senior quarterback and some senior experience in some of those skill positions that you're able to build off of their previous experience.
Yeah, well, actually, Parker was a backup quarterback last year, and he spot played around the offense, a receiver, some at Wildcat. But I think he told me he didn't throw a pass last year. And so, our focus was, working on the mechanics and throwing drills and all that. And he's done a great job with it. So, he's really smart too, and he's a good leader, and he's got all those qualities.
Sure thing. Well, Coach, congratulations on a very successful season. Obviously, not the first stop on your lengthy career, and success follows you everywhere you've gone. But once again, just congratulations on an 8-1 year, and best of luck in the playoffs moving forward.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
All right, Coach. Really quick before I let you go, just one last thing. When you look at every season is special, but what sticks out to you the most about this season?
I think I think we were playing okay through the first 4 weeks. We didn't have everything gelling. We had two big sophomore tackles that were just kind of starting to come into their own. But our first half against, Greenville was kind of the coming out party for us. We jumped on them early, made some plays, had a sack, strip sack, scoop and score, had an interception, set up another. We just snowballed, and I think that was really the start of not because of the number of points, but I felt like we started gel, somewhere in there, week 4, week 5, but especially that first half against Greenville.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks again, Coach. As Grayson said, and good luck and enjoy your night tonight, and good luck in the playoffs.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Coach Ramsey joining us here this evening on what was a very successful 8-1 year for Pana. Wins against Hillsborough, Southwestern, that loss against Vandalia, Gillespie, Greenville, Staunton, Bunker Hill, North Mac, Litchfield, Mount Olive, and Carlinville. And other than that loss to Vandalia, not really a close game. Carlinville was probably the closest one at 43-26, but otherwise than that, they kind of ran the gauntlet on most of those teams. They dealt with all kinds of stuff, including even a bus fire. But they've overcome a whole lot, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with come the playoffs.
Oh, no doubt about it. Pana is going to be really good. And obviously, that's why you ask about a little bit, like the tradition Pana brings in terms of football. I believe it was 11 straight years of making the playoffs, and now probably making it 12. No, actually, this is the 11th year straight of making the playoffs. So with that being the case, obviously you're stepping into a program that knows winning, but making your mark on it, how do you do so? And I think Coach Ramsey's done exactly that. Obviously a lot of respect for everything he's been able to do at St. Teresa, Central A&M, namely, when it comes to mind as well, and a stop at Shelbyville. So he's been around, and success follows him everywhere. It's no different now in Pana this year as well.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we will talk to Coach Jeb Odom about what the successes that he has had in Taylorville this year. Another great season for Taylorville, who will find out what playoff team awaits them, and after coming back from a huge win against Civic Memorial. You're listening to WTIM Radio and the Prairie Farms Playoff Pigskin Preview Show. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Fall means football, festivals, and holiday fun made better with the refreshing glass of Prairie Farms lemonade. Prairie Farms is proud to partner with the Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, a national leader in the fight against childhood cancer. Look for the special QR code on your favorite bottle or jug of Prairie Farms lemonade and